Okay, so imagine. Wait, no. Did you know that theoretically, a single pixelated eggplant emoji could literally ignite a constitutional crisis?
What? No. Okay, welcome to English Pod Center, guys. I'm Lucas, but seriously, Luna, what are you even talking about?
I'm Luna, and I am dead serious. We're talking about freedom of speech in the digital age, and it is entirely, utterly broken. Like, fundamentally.
Broken? I can literally go on Twitter right now and yell into the void about, I don't know, how unequivocally awful the finale of Game of Thrones was.
Right, exactly. You think you have absolute autonomy, right? Because you're typing it from the comfort of your own couch.
Yeah, because it's my phone, my Wi-Fi, my profoundly correct cinematic opinion.
True. But here is the catastrophic, paradigm shift that everyone completely misses.
Okay, lay it on me.
The internet feels like this massive public square, but it's a privately owned shopping mall.
A shopping mall? Like with a food court and a Hot Topic?
Exactly. So think about the traditional public square. In constitutional law, there's this deeply entrenched concept of the public forum, right?
Right, like a guy standing on a literal soapbox in a park in 1920.
Yes, and in that physical municipal park, the government cannot arbitrarily dictate what you say, unless it's, immediate incitement to violence.
Fire in a crowded theater, blah, blah, blah.
Which is actually a terrible, completely misunderstood historical analogy, but we'll get to that tangent later.
Oh, wait, it is? I've literally quoted that like my entire adult life.
Everyone does. But the crux of the issue today is, where do we actually speak now? We don't go to parks to debate policy.
Well, we go to Reddit, we go to TikTok, X, whatever Elon's calling it this week.
Right, and those platforms, they are the quintessential public squares of the 21st century. But
they're not public.
Boom. They're owned by eccentric billionaires and massive, ubiquitous tech conglomerates.
Right, so wait, if I'm in a shopping mall, going back to your weird mall analogy,
It's a fantastic analogy.
if I stand in the middle of a literal mall and start screaming my fringe political manifesto,
Security is going to tackle you, or at least firmly escort you to the sliding glass doors.
yeah, Paul Blart is definitely kicking me out for trespassing.
Exactly, because it's private property. And fundamentally, that is what social media is, a giant monopolistic mall.
So when people scream First Amendment or, freedom of expression when they get their accounts banned,
It's totally, completely, legally irrelevant, like unequivocally void.
wait, hold on, irrelevant, but it's our only viable mechanism to communicate.
That's the paradox, Lucas. We have outsourced our fundamental democratic infrastructure to private, profit-driven corporations.
Whoa. Democratic infrastructure. Fancy phrasing. But, yeah, if they ban you, you basically cease to exist socially.
Precisely. You are digitally exiled. Ostracismos, like in ancient Athens, but executed by an algorithm in milliseconds.
Ostrich what now?
Ostracismos. They used to literally carve names on broken pottery shards to banish unpopular politicians.
Okay, nerd. But seriously, so the overarching problem is we inherently think we have free speech, but we actually just have terms of service.
Yes, you didn't sign a social contract with John Locke. You clicked I agree on a 70-page unreadable EULA.
An end-user license agreement.
Look at you utilizing the tech acronyms. Yes, exactly.
I have my fleeting moments of brilliance. But okay, if these platforms are just private malls, shouldn't they possess the autonomous right to kick out whoever they want?
Now you're playing devil's advocate. And legally speaking, yes, absolutely. They ostensibly have their own First Amendment rights to curate and moderate content.
Right, because if I inherently own a restaurant and some obnoxious guy comes in and starts harassing my paying customers,
You'd throw him out. You're the grumpy waiter saying, "Sir, you cannot eat your soup out of a shoe in this establishment."
right, get out of my Michelin star restaurant, shoe soup guy.
But here is where it gets incredibly murky and honestly, profoundly terrifying.
Okay, I'm braced. Terrify me.
What if there is literally only one restaurant in the entire town? And if you get kicked out, you legitimately starve to death.
Oh, wow. I'd probably just start eating my soup with a spoon, honestly.
Lucas, Focus.
No, I get it. If Twitter, Meta, Google, if they ostensibly form an oligopoly that controls 99% of digital discourse,
Then being deplatformed is tantamount to losing your voice in contemporary society entirely.
So the whole private business justification kind of systematically falls apart when the business is basically the entire internet.
It doesn't legally fall apart, but philosophically, ethically, it represents a massive, glaring vulnerability in the fabric of modern democracy.
Geez, because who actually decides what gets you exiled?
Exactly. Is it a clear, transparent judicial process with due diligence? No, it's a notoriously opaque, algorithmically driven black box.
And some guy in a Silicon Valley cubicle who hasn't slept in 3 days.
Or more realistically, a poorly trained neural network that erroneously thinks you posting a historical photo is somehow a flagrant violation of community guidelines.
Wait, that actually happens routinely, right? The AI just haphazardly flags things with zero context?
All the time. It is algorithmic censorship, and it operates at a sheer scale that is genuinely unfathomable to the human brain.
Okay, my brain is already legitimately melting. We need to dissect exactly how these obscure algorithms are unilaterally deciding what we can and cannot say.
Right, so picture this, Lucas. Imagine a nightclub bouncer, right? But he's blindfolded, heavily caffeinated, and making decisions based entirely on the smell of people's cologne.
Okay, wait, what? A blindfolded hyperactive bouncer?
Yes, that is exactly what an algorithmic moderation system essentially is. It doesn't genuinely comprehend nuance or intent. It looks for incredibly specific, rudimentary data signatures.
So it's not actually reading my nuanced critique of, say, political polarization.
Heavens no. It's scanning for a predetermined lexicon of restricted terms. If you juxtapose the word attack with the name of a marginalized demographic, even in a strictly academic context.
Oh, you're just instantly annihilated, shadow banned into oblivion.
Precisely. The system relies on heuristics, mental shortcuts for the machine, because manually moderating billions of ubiquitous data points is logistically impossible.
Okay, but Luna, if it's just looking for words, why is it so notoriously terrible at detecting actual palpable sarcasm?
Because sarcasm inherently relies on semantic subversion. You're deliberately stating the diametric opposite of your genuine epistemological stance.
My epistemological stance? Wow, dropping the $10 words today, Luna.
You know what I mean? You're saying the opposite of what you actually believe, relying on cultural context to convey the irony.
Right. Like when I said that new coffee shop was literally a crime against humanity because they ran out of oat milk.
Exactly. A human reads that and intuitively grasps the hyperbolic nature of your grievance. But the algorithm meticulously logs crime against humanity.
Wait, does it really flag stuff like that? That seems egregiously flawed.
It is perpetually flawed. Actually, let me give you a paradigm-shifting example. Have you heard of the Scunthorpe problem?
The what? Scunthorpe? Is that a disease?
No. Scunthorpe is a town in England.
Okay.
In the late 90s, AOL implemented this draconian profanity filter, and the residents of Scunthorpe literally couldn't create accounts because the town's name inadvertently contains, well, a very explicit four-letter expletive embedded right in the middle of it.
Oh my God, wait, I see it. SCU. Wow. That is hilarious and mildly tragic.
Right? So an entire municipality was systematically eradicated from the digital ecosystem because of an algorithmic blind spot.
But that was like the 90s. Surely neural networks are exponentially more sophisticated now, right? We have AI that can paint Renaissance masterpieces.
They are more sophisticated, unequivocally. But the fundamental architectural deficiency remains. They still lack intrinsic situational awareness.
So we've basically outsourced the adjudication of fundamental human rights to a very fast idiot.
That is arguably the most astute summarization of algorithmic governance I have ever heard, Lucas. Yes, a remarkably fast, computationally brilliant idiot.
I mean, I try. But seriously, this terrifies me. If this blindfolded bouncer is determining the parameters of acceptable public discourse, doesn't that inherently breed self-censorship?
Ah, ding, ding, ding. You just hit the absolute philosophical crux of the matter. the chilling effect.
The chilling effect? Like people just freezing up and refusing to speak?
Precisely. If you are perpetually terrified that a seemingly innocuous comment will trigger a permanent suspension, you inevitably sanitize your own speech.
Yeah, I've literally caught myself doing that. I'll type out a controversial tweet, stare at it, think about that Silicon Valley bouncer, and just aggressively hit backspace.
And that phenomenon, replicated across hundreds of millions of ubiquitous users, homogenizes the entire intellectual landscape. We lose the vibrancy of radical discourse.
Because we're all just desperately trying not to trigger a line of code. That's profoundly dystopian, Luna.
It is. But let's pivot slightly, because there's an even more insidious corollary to all of this.
More insidious than the Scunthorpe incident? I'm legitimately bracing myself.
It's the concept of ideological amplification. While the algorithm suppresses perceived transgressions, what exactly is it heavily incentivized to promote?
Engagement? Like clicks, views, people screaming at each other in the comments?
Exactly. Algorithms are ruthlessly optimized for engagement, and nothing drives engagement more effectively than incendiary, emotionally provocative outrage.
Okay, wait, I don't get it. I'm slightly confused. If it's censoring controversial stuff, how is it also promoting outrage? Aren't those diametrically opposed objectives?
That is a phenomenal question. Here's the paradoxical reality. It censors specific vocabulary and overt violations, but it heavily rewards the underlying sentiment of tribalistic hostility.
Oh, now I get it. So you can't use forbidden words, but if you craft a perfectly sanitized passive-aggressive diatribe that makes people furious, the algorithm loves it.
Bingo. It creates this bizarre, sanitized polarization. You get echo chambers that are aggressively sanitized of profanity, yet seething with profound ideological vitriol.
That explains so much about modern Twitter, or X, or whatever we're obligated to call it now.
Right. It facilitates cognitive dissonance on a societal scale. We think we have unfettered free speech, but we actually just have highly curated, monetizable outrage.
Jesus. So going back to our previous episode where we talked about the printing press.
Mm-hmm.
When the printing press democratized information, it was chaotic, but it was organic chaos. This feels like engineered, synthetic chaos.
That is a brilliant juxtaposition, Lucas. The printing press decentralized the dissemination of speech. Digital platforms centralized the moderation of speech.
Which completely subverts the initial utopian promise of the internet, doesn't it? The whole information wants to be free hacker manifesto vibe.
Entirely. We inadvertently replaced governmental tyranny with corporate paternalism. And because they are ostensibly private entities,
The First Amendment doesn't apply. We're right back to the beginning of the argument.
exactly. It's a closed epistemological loop.
Okay, so for the people listening right now, our amazing English Pod Center audience, what is a quick mental exercise they can do to spot this happening to them?
Oh, I love that. Okay, here is an actionable heuristic for our listeners. Next time you scroll your feed, explicitly look for the outrage bait.
Like, actively try to identify the stuff designed to make your blood pressure spike?
Yes, ask yourself, am I seeing this because it's genuinely intellectually valuable, or am I seeing this because a neural network calculated that it would trigger my tribalistic instincts?
That is actually really difficult to do in the moment. It requires an immense amount of metacognition.
It does, but developing that cognitive resistance is the only viable methodology to reclaim your intellectual autonomy in a digitally curated world.
Wow, reclaiming intellectual autonomy. I feel smarter just like being in the same room as you, Luna.
Flattery will get you nowhere, Lucas. But seriously, it's about breaking the algorithmic spell.
All right, well, my brain needs a solid minute to recover from that paradigm shift, so let's take a quick breather before we dive into the legal ramifications. And we are back. Hopefully your blood pressure has stabilized after that immense existential dread we just handed you.
Look, we just want our listeners at English Pod Center to be, digitally resilient.
Well, speaking of resilience, I want to pivot to the actual laws because people always scream, First Amendment, you're violating my free speech when they get banned from like Twitter or YouTube.
Oh my God, yes. Literally my biggest pet peeve. It is a fundamental, it's the most pervasive jurisprudential misconception on the entire internet.
Okay, big words. Pervasive jurisprudential misconception. Translate that for a guy who barely passed high school civics, please.
It just means everyone gets the law completely backwards. The First Amendment, historically and legally, only protects you from the government, not Mark Zuckerberg.
Wait, really? So if I go on a platform and say something completely unhinged and they delete my account, they aren't suppressing my constitutional rights?
Absolutely not. Okay, think of it like a grumpy bouncer at an incredibly exclusive yet massive private nightclub.
I've met a few of those. Never ended well for me, honestly.
Exactly. If the bouncer kicks you out for wearing sneakers, he isn't violating your constitutional right to fashion. It's private property. They set the rules.
Right, but here's the rub, Luna. A nightclub is just a nightclub. These social platforms are where actual global diplomacy happens. Elections are won and lost there. It feels totally different from getting bounced from a club in downtown LA for bad shoes.
You've just hit the absolute crux of the modern constitutional dilemma, Lucas. We've essentially privatized the public square.
The public square, meaning the place where citizens traditionally gather to debate, like a physical park?
Yes, exactly. In the analog era, if you wanted to pontificate about politics, you grabbed a soapbox, marched to the town square, and started yelling.
And the government couldn't arrest you for it, right? Assuming you weren't inciting immediate violence.
Precisely. That's the classical application of free speech. But today, the town square is owned by a handful of Silicon Valley oligarchs.
Geez, that is terrifying when you frame it like that. So they possess effectively unilateral censorship power?
They do, because legally they are private entities. It's called the state actor doctrine. If they aren't the government, the First Amendment simply does not apply to their moderation protocols.
Okay, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If these platforms are so ubiquitous that they are fundamentally necessary for participation in modern society, shouldn't we just declare them public utilities, like water or electricity?
Oh, wow, okay. You're actually invoking a highly contentious legal theory right now.
Look at me, dropping highly contentious theories I didn't even mean to.
You're a natural, Lucas. But seriously, treating them as public utilities, or common carriers, would mean they literally couldn't discriminate based on viewpoints.
Right, which sounds great for free speech, doesn't it? Like everyone gets a voice, no grumpy bouncer.
It sounds utopian in theory, but practically, it would be an unmitigated disaster.
Wait, I don't get it. Why? Wouldn't a truly open platform be the ultimate victory for free expression?
Okay, imagine that nightclub again. But this time, the bouncer is legally prohibited from kicking anyone out, ever.
Uh-oh.
Right? Within 48 hours, the club is flooded with, screaming maniacs, malicious bots spamming counterfeit pharmaceuticals, and people constantly harassing the DJ.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a miserable place to hang out. I'd leave immediately.
Exactly. The paradox of absolute free speech on a digital platform is that it inevitably destroys the platform's utility.
Oh, now I get it. So moderation isn't just about suppressing dissenting voices, it's about making the platform somewhat habitable.
Yes. Without content moderation, every open network degrades into a cesspool of spam, pornography, and vitriol. It's a phenomenon sometimes referred to as the trust and safety dilemma.
Trust and safety. That's the department that always gets fired when tech billionaires buy social media companies, right?
No comment on specific acquisitions. But yes, those teams are responsible for navigating this excruciatingly delicate balance.
So they have to mitigate the toxicity without ostensibly silencing legitimate political discourse, which sounds virtually impossible.
It is functionally impossible to do perfectly at scale, which is why they completely rely on the infamous Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act.
Section 230. I hear politicians rambling about this constantly. They always threaten to repeal it. What actually is it?
Okay, I'll give you the absolute simplest breakdown. Section 230 provides 26 words that essentially created the modern internet.
26 words? That's it?
That's it. It effectively states that online platforms cannot be held legally liable as the publisher of user-generated content.
Okay, meaning if I tweet something defamatory about, my neighbor can sue me, but they can't sue Twitter.
Spot on. But it also has a Good Samaritan provision. This allows platforms to aggressively moderate and remove objectionable content without suddenly assuming liability for the things they leave up.
Wait, so it's a dual shield.
They aren't responsible for what we post, and they aren't penalized for trying to clean up the garbage.
You nailed it. Without it, platforms would face a catastrophic binary choice.
Which is what? Like either moderate everything or moderate nothing?
Exactly. They'd either have to pre-screen every single post, which is technologically and economically prohibitive, or they'd have to abandon moderation entirely to avoid publisher liability.
So if politicians actually repealed it, social media as we know it would basically evaporate overnight.
It would fundamentally fracture the digital ecosystem. Every platform would either become a heavily sanitized, sterile walled garden or an anarchic free-for-all.
Wow, so Section 230 is basically the duct tape holding the internet's sanity together.
Very fragile, highly controversial duct tape, yes.
Oh man, this is so complex. I thought free speech was just saying what you want, but we're dealing with algorithms, massive corporate monopolies, and decades-old legislation.
It is incredibly layered, which actually brings me to a question I want to throw to our listeners right now.
Oh nice, audience challenge time. What do you got for him, Luna?
I want you all to think critically about this. Do you trust a centralized government bureaucracy to regulate online speech? Or do you trust a profit-driven tech corporation?
Oh man, the ultimate lesser of two evil scenario. Drop your answers in the comments, seriously, because I don't even know where I stand on that.
It's the defining ideological battle of our generation. But there's one more layer we absolutely have to discuss, which is how foreign state actors are weaponizing this exact vulnerability.
Wait, foreign state actors? Like actual cyber warfare?
Precisely. I mean, think about it, Lucas. If you're a hostile nation trying to destabilize a democracy, you don't need a kinetic military invasion anymore.
You just need, what, Twitter? Or I guess X now?
Right, exactly. You just need to exploit their absolute fundamental commitment to free speech. It's a paradox, right? Our greatest democratic asset is simultaneously our most gaping vulnerability.
So we're essentially handing our geopolitical enemies the megaphone.
And not just a megaphone, but an algorithmic amplifier. They set up highly sophisticated bot networks, literally thousands of fake accounts, acting like genuine concerned citizens.
Oh, right, the bot farms. I've heard about this.
Yeah, and the insidious part is they don't even necessarily push a specific agenda. Often their sole objective is just to sow absolute, unadulterated discord.
Wait, really? Not even to promote like a specific candidate?
Well, sometimes that, sure, but more often it's just about amplifying existing polarization. If there's a divisive issue, they'll artificially inflate both extreme sides of the argument to fracture social cohesion.
Geez, so it's literally like throwing gasoline on a fire that's already burning.
Exactly. It's like, remember that grumpy waiter analogy from earlier?
Yeah, the algorithm just feeding us whatever keeps us arguing at the table.
Right. Well, state-sponsored bots are like a patron sneaking into the kitchen, tossing jalapenos into everyone's food, and then sitting back to watch the restaurant burn down while everyone argues about who ruined the soup.
That is terribly vivid, Luna, but I mean, it makes perfect sense.
It's asymmetric warfare, and the platforms struggle to mitigate it because, going back to Section 230, if they crack down too aggressively, they inadvertently silence legitimate, albeit controversial, domestic speech.
Right, because how does an algorithm consistently differentiate between a genuine citizen with an extreme view and like a Russian bot?
It can't. Not with 100% accuracy. The sheer volume of data is just incomprehensible.
So wait, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. If foreign adversaries are exploiting free speech and platforms can't perfectly police it, and the government shouldn't control it, are we just screwed?
It feels incredibly bleak, doesn't it? But this is exactly where cognitive resilience comes into play.
Cognitive resilience. Ooh, fancy term. Break that down for me.
It basically means upgrading our own mental software. If we know the environment is flooding with algorithmic manipulation and state-sponsored disinformation, we have to fundamentally alter how we consume information.
Okay, so it shifts from a structural legal problem to a personal responsibility problem?
It's a dual-pronged approach. We absolutely need structural reform, but we also desperately need media literacy, like radical media literacy.
Right, because we can't just wait for lawmakers who don't even understand Wi-Fi to fix the internet.
Exactly. So here is a quick mental exercise or practice for our listeners.
Oh, I like this. Hit us with it.
Whenever you feel a visceral, uncontrollable surge of outrage at a post online, pause, just for 5 seconds.
The 5-second outrage pause. I desperately need this.
Right? Just ask yourself, who benefits from me being furious about this right now?
That is, wow. Who benefits from my outrage? That's a phenomenal framing.
Because outrage is a literal currency in the digital age, and if you're spending yours without thinking, somebody else is profiting off it.
Geez. Either a corporation getting ad revenue or like a foreign operative trying to make us hate each other.
Precisely, Lucas. It's a systemic exploitation of human psychology.
Okay, I have a confession. I literally quote tweeted something yesterday purely because it made my blood boil. I played right into the grumpy waiter's hands.
We all do it. The architecture of these platforms is meticulously designed to bypass our rational faculties and trigger those exact emotional reflexes.
So the ultimate act of rebellion in the digital age is what? Critical thinking?
Nuance and critical thinking, consciously refusing to engage in the algorithmic frenzy.
Man, that is so much harder than it sounds, especially when the interface is practically begging you to react.
It requires profound discipline. But honestly, it's the only way we preserve the intrinsic value of free speech without drowning in an ocean of toxic noise.
Wow, this has been an incredibly heavy episode, Luna. I mean, my brain is officially fried.
We definitely ventured into the deep end of the sociological pool today.
Seriously, we went from the First Amendment to algorithmic bias, Section 230, and then full-blown geopolitical cyber warfare.
It's an interconnected web. You simply can't analyze one facet without unraveling all the others.
Yeah, well, consider my web completely unraveled. I'm definitely going to be implementing that 5-second outrage pause.
I highly encourage everyone to try it. And actually, I want to reiterate that question we posed earlier because I really want to see the debate in the comments.
Oh, right. Do you trust a centralized government or the tech conglomerates to regulate your speech?
Exactly. I want to see nuanced, thoughtful arguments down there. No bots allowed.
Good luck enforcing that. But seriously, guys, if you got any value out of this absolute mindbender of an episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And please leave us a rating. It genuinely helps the algorithm, ironically enough, right? Yeah, feed the beast so it pushes our nuanced content. If you want to keep untangling these massive concepts with us, make sure you follow English Pod Center. We've got so many incredible deep dives coming up. You definitely won't want to miss them.
And remember, next time you're doom scrolling and you feel that blood pressure spike,
Take the 5-second pause. Ask who's profiting off your anger.
incredible advice, Luna. Truly. Thank you for walking us through this absolute labyrinth.
Always a pleasure, Lucas. It's vital that we have these uncomfortable conversations.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, stay curious, stay critical, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Keep questioning the narrative.
See ya. Oh, and I'm totally deleting that angry retweet right now.
Probably for the best.